Hi guys, this is the same day, second video. I want to share with you what we think the European Union can be explained and what this has to do with IP. So thank you for tuning in into the channel IP and Business and Europe in that case. This is a series of some 11 videos, short each one, so some 15 minutes, so that we do not get bored. So we want to have some fun as well. It is only for business language, so I don't want to go into technicalities, although I'm an IP lawyer, but I want to focus on business and serve you with regard to some information for those who are not from Europe, business and IP students mainly. So let's go. What is the European Union? Is it federation, an organization? Is it an association of states? Is it a state on its own? Even in Europe, this is not an easy understood issue. If you want to know what Europeans think of what is exactly the European Union, you will get a variety of answers. Some are correct, but many are not. So I don't blame you if you don't have a clear idea of what the European Union is. It is also something very special. It does not exist anything like this in the world. So it is a kind of unique construction the Europeans gave themselves some 70 years ago. So how to explain it, which is a singular issue? I would love to make a simile with business language. This is a business channel, so let us talk about business terms here. I think that is the best way you would understand what would be the European Union. So let's get a holding. You have a holding of companies, a holding company, and then you have sub-companies within that holding company, let's say 26, just like the member states of the European Union actually, after leaving Great Britain at the beginning of 2021. So these companies, individual companies, they share the same mission. They have probably, a holding company has a mission statement saying that, well, these are the values of the company, and this is the finality of the company. So there is a common sharing of certain values within the whole holding, which is the case also for the European Union. We have the same values, democratic values or human values within the member states there. We share everything. Now then you have some issues which are harmonized along the holding, along all these sub-companies, which would be accounting standards, for example, and you have to send your accounting execution or your business reports to the holding company, and they exercise a certain control of what was the goals of the individual company, and if they comply with it, if they don't comply. So this is happening also in the European Union. And then you have some autonomy with regard to individual companies. They have their own business model, and they have to execute their business model without too much interfering from the holding company. So the states, they have still their sovereignty, and they continue with their own business without interfering, which do not interfere with regard to their holding company. So this is the case as well. But then the individual, the CEO of the individual companies, they are also in the supervisory board, and they have their own voting right, and they can say this and that, and they can give their opinion with regard to the overall strategy of the holding company. And this again is the case Here, with regard to the European Union, the individual member states are in the supervisory board, the Council of Ministers, and they decide the overall policy goals of the holding company, among others. And then you have also necessity from one company who wants to go further and make some amendments or make some investments for the future benefit of the whole, and they need some money, so the holding may decide to give some money to that company to make that investment, which is beneficial for the overall company. So this is the same case also for the European Union, where some member states may get a financial advantage, a financial shift from the center to that state in order to make certain amendments, investments, or whatever it is. But these are controlled afterwards with regard to certain promises, etc. And these promises or guidelines will be that they have complied with will be controlled by the holding company. This is also the case of the European Union, which exercises certain control over commitments of the different member states. So if you take a holding company and you see the individual companies as member states, you will have a broad idea how this is functioning within the European Union. And then you have heard some, so the Commission, these are the commissioners of each member state. This is a kind of government from the European Union in Brussels. And then you have the Council of Ministers and the Parliament, who are the legislative bodies, and you have the judicial. So you have the three pillars of the European countries translated at the level of the European Union. So, having get this out of the way, do you understand more or less what the European Union is? Leave me some comments if there is something you haven't understood. Perhaps at a certain moment I will update this and incorporate some questions you still may have. But if you have this in mind, I think you have a broad idea of what is Europe about. Now, with regard to intellectual property, you have the different intellectual property rights, to which I will go in a later video, not on this one. And you have the most important ones, which is patent, trademark, and designs. Well, designs is not one of the most important, but still it is widely used. So these three rights are the most important ones in the sense of use by all businesses, I would say, or nearly all businesses. So these are probably due to their importance. This is the trademarks and the designs have been issued at the general level, at the holding level, at the European Union level. So we have one right, and we have the validity of this right in the 26 member states. I think that is an important issue from the outside. So you have, rather than going into each member state and doing a trademark application, which you can do, you can take one singular application and get a title for 26 member states, which probably you will do. Now, this is the case for trademark, and this is the case for designs. For patents, this has been the goal since I was young, I think. And there are different initiatives going through and finding at the end some problems with regard to one or the other member state, so they blocked it. It must be majority, it must be every member state must agree with it. So there was still, and there are still, problems with regard to a unitary patent. So the same as trademark, as I said, one title for 26 member states. What we have, however, with regard to the patents, and even earlier with regard to trademark, for trademarks and designs, in 1973, we had already the establishment of the European Patent Office, where all the member states are now part of it. So you can file in the EPO under the European Cooperation Treaty. You can European Patent Cooperation Treaty. You can file one patent application and get with this individual titles of all the member states and also of other countries like Turkey, which are a member of that treaty. So the unitary patent, which is the one which would be European trademark, one title for 26 countries, a unitary patent just for patent, is in the making, and I'm very confident that this year, by the end of this year, we will have it. I will give you an update when this is the case. So the other IP rights, namely copyright, is only at the level of the member states. You can have a copyright and you can make valid enforcement of any copyright you might have within the member state making clear that this is a copyright in the member state and have to fulfill the conditions of each member state. We don't have one European copyright for 26 member states yet, but we have harmonized issues, harmonized enforcement, for example, of intellectual property rights at the member states. So you still have to go to the member states, and according to member states' rules and legislation, you can act, but they are harmonized on the level from the European Union, meaning that that is a kind of guidelines the corporation, the holding corporation issues, and which have to be followed by all the individual sub-companies in the simile I made before. So I think that's it so far, a short video, and you get some information here. The outcome, wrap it up, the outcome would be that we have a central level and titles for the European Union in total, and you have living beside this individual titles, meaning you have a German patent and you have a German trademark and a German design living together with a European trademark and a European design. You have the choice. On the cost, I will also make it in a different strategies and considerations. I think it's important, but this is not for this video. I want make it very short for you and brief. So this is it for my second video. The third will have to do with the single market in the European Union, and then from that onwards we will delve more deeply, or a bit more deep into intellectual properties. Thank you for tuning in. See you in the next video.